The Ghost of Popcorn Hill. Chapter 13, How the Plan Worked. Miss Tracy was sleepy and decided to go to bed early. That made the first part of the plan easy. Just before the boys climbed into bed themselves, they lifted the screen out of the bedroom window. I know a ghost dog could come right through a screen if he wanted to, but we have to be sure he knows he's welcome, Martin explained. He's not welcome, Peter said stubbornly. I wish Daddy were home. What if something goes wrong? I'm scared. There's nothing to worry about, Martin said. He was glad Peter could see the goosebumps on his arm. I wish Rosie could come in and sleep with us, Peter persisted. She'd like that. Martin didn't answer. Peter knew very well why Rosie couldn't be with him. If she got excited and started jumping around, the ghost dog might not come. The boys were still for a while, listening to the wind that had blown the fog away. Moonlight spilled through the window. Then the wind faded to a breeze, and Martin heard the same soft flip-flop steps he had heard earlier in the evening. Something panted at the windowsill. Oh no, Peter whimpered. He crouched under the covers with just one eye showing as the sheepdog leaped through the window and landed in the middle of the bedroom. Martin watched the big dog explore the room. Each time he passed the window, moonlight shone through him. I don't know if I can do this, Martin thought in a panic. One ghost was bad enough. Two would be even scarier. But then he remembered how sorry he felt for Tom Buffle. Tom wanted a friend, and the sheepdog wanted one too. Otherwise, the dog wouldn't be here, pacing around their bedroom in the middle of the night. He took a deep breath and started the next step of the plan. It was simple. He was going to tell a story, the saddest story he could think of. If he made it sad enough, Tom Buffle might come to cheer them up. Once upon a time, he began in a shaky voice, two boys were left all alone in a cabin in the woods. The sheepdog wandered over to Peter's bed and sniffed his pillow. Cry, Martin whispered. This is supposed to be a sad story. Then he realized he didn't have to tell his brother what to do. Peter was already crying because of the dog, not because of the story. Martin started again. So these two boys. He stopped. He couldn't think of what to say next. Usually when he told a story, he put in real adventures and made up ones, and the ideas came faster than he could say the words, but not this time. The ghost dog and Peter's muffled sobs had dried up every thought in his head. So these two boys what? Peter sniffled. The sheepdog ambled across the bedroom and rested his see-through head close to Martin's. I don't know, Martin groaned. His plan was falling apart, and all because he hadn't made up the story in advance. The sheepdog padded to the window. He looked as if he might be going to jump out. So the poor boys didn't have anything to eat. Martin couldn't believe his ears. Peter had stopped crying. In a quivery, shivery voice, he was telling the next part of the story. It was snowing, and they didn't have any wood for the stove, Peter went on. He looked fearfully into the corner where Tom Buffle had stood in the past. And they didn't have any blankets, not even a little one. There was another pause. Martin held his breath. They didn't have anything to play with either, Peter began to sound desperate. They didn't have any games. Was that a faint, far-off ho-ho-ho? Martin wasn't sure. And no storybooks. Ho-ho-ho. This time there could be no doubt. They didn't have a dog either. Peter's voice faded to a whimper as the scarecrow figure began to appear. First came the long, narrow face, then the red suspenders, then the ragged trouser legs. A booming ho-ho-ho brought a quick end to Peter's story. I can't do it anymore, he wailed softly and disappeared again under the covers. That's a very sad story, the ghost moaned. Let me cheer you up. Martin had almost forgotten the ghost dog, but now a movement at the window caught his eye. The sheepdog had whirled around and was staring into the corner. He seemed to hesitate, and then with a great bound, he crossed the room and threw himself against Tom Buffle's chest. For a moment, the two ghosts disappeared entirely. Martin sank back on his pillow in despair, but then they returned, glimmering and shimmering more brightly than ever. Tom Buffle hugged the sheepdog as if he'd never let him go. Buster, he shouted, and this time there wasn't a trace of a moan in his voice. Buster, is it really you?